All right, Tori, so I'm glad to see you again for our intervention sessions. We're going to have these every Friday. We're going to start your first real intervention today surrounding your reading goals like we talked about for the whole school year. Your objective for this particular session is to be able to attempt to read through the word completely. So that means when you see a letter or a sound, you make sure you read all the way through the word. To read all the way through the? Great. So prior, you missed one word 3 times. Remember when I came to your house and we did that assessment about Egyptian pyramids? You had said Tom instead of tomb 3 times, and then you did not say first 1 time and didn't attempt that word. So today we are going to work on the objective to make sure you're reading all the way through words completely. And we're also going to look at some vocabulary to prepare you for a lesson that we're going to do next week during your intervention. So our agenda for the day is our purpose of the session like we just did together. And then we're going to do word recognition activities. We're going to practice actively spelling and then reading through words to sound it out, making sure we read through the word completely, making sure we read through the word. Great. And then we're going to do a vocabulary acquisition activity. And then we're going to do a closing activity to generalize to make sure that you've understood it. All right. So at this time, we're going to talk about, again, our first objective for the session is that you will practice actively writing out letters to read through or sound out words completely. And our strategy, after we talk about our guiding question, your question is, am I reading through the entire word or sounding it out completely? So what is your question? Yeah. So we're going to turn this into a game. So we're going to go back in our brains, think back in time. I want you to think about in elementary school, or possibly before that maybe, or even middle school, early middle school, to a teacher that you had that asked you to read from left to right. Do you remember the teacher that taught you how to read from left to right, or maybe somebody else, like a family member, who would have taught you like to read like this with your finger going from left to right? You don't remember? Okay. Well, either way, we're still going to pretend we're going back in time to elementary school because that's sort of what we're practicing today. So the reason that we're thinking of this going left to right is to help you get more practice reading all the way through the word. Because sometimes when we rush, we leave off a letter or a sound, right? And so that can make us mess up when we're reading, and then you won't comprehend what you're reading because you would have read the word incorrectly, right? So I know you also like art and to color things. So also you're going to practice, get to do some art today while we do some scientific words that we're going to cover later in vocabulary to prepare you for the next text that we're going to do next week. Okay, so as you color each letter, as you can see on the sheet in front of you, you are going to say each sound, and then you're going to stretch it out below and write below the boxes. So let's go ahead and do the first one together. Pick a color out of your color pencils. It can be any color. And you're going to go ahead and do the first word. We're going to do it together. So go ahead. You're going to say the sounds as you color. Go ahead. Go. Go ahead. Nope, you got to say it out. Say the sounds out. Go. Hue. Hue. Me. Di. T. Okay. And then you're going to write it on the line below after you go all the way across. So go ahead and sound the whole word out all the way across again. Great. All right, even if you're not done coloring, go ahead and take a pencil and go ahead and write the word on the line below. Okay, done writing that word in 5, 4, great. Go ahead and go to the next word, and we're going to do the exact same strategy. So go ahead and get a different color, and we're going to do the second word. Remember, you're sounding out every letter. Do not say the word yet. Go ahead. I'll try to be as loud as possible. Okay, what's the word? Okay, go ahead and color across that. You can do it kind of like a cloud or a little wavy. And then you're going to write below it on the line the entire word out. I know it might seem easy because you might know some of these words, having seen them in science class and things like that. But you're going to try to sound out every word, no matter how long it is, whenever you read or see new words that you're not sure about. Okay, go ahead and put the color pencil down, and now you're going to get your pencil and write that word on the line below. So what was the word again? Good job. Great. Now, go ahead and go to the next word, get a different color, and we're going to do the same thing, sounding every letter and sound out. Go ahead. It's all right. Okay, what's the word? Great. Go all the way across, making it wavy like a cloud, sort of like meteorologists are looking at. All right, now color pencil is down. Getting your pencil, I'm going to go ahead and write that word. What was the word again? Yeah, meteorologist out at the bottom line. All right, get another color. And remember, this next two words are two separate words. So go ahead and sound out the first part of that word. One more time. Yep, break it up. Do. So what's the word? Do. And then what's the second part? Great. Go ahead and highlight across those. And then you're going to write that word, or two words rather, on that next line. Do point. So what's the word? Dew point. Great. All right, get a different color after you've written dew point on the line. In 4, 3, 2. Great. All right, go ahead with that last one. Okay, and the last part? Great. So what is the words?
Water vapor.
Yeah, water vapor. All right, timer is going off in 2, 1, 0. So now, I'm going to go ahead and write that last word on the line. So again, remember to fully read through every letter and sound when sounding out words, even when trying to read more quickly, so that when you're building up your oral reading fluency, you're reading quickly, but you're also making sure you don't make errors. All right. So now, our next section is, again, you're practicing actively reading through and sounding out completely words. And remember, we read all the way through the word or sound. So I'm going to set the timer again. So our guiding question is still, am I reading through the entire word, sounding it out completely? What's our guiding question?
Reading through the word.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to model out sounding through a word completely with another passage that I actually read. So I loved English growing up, and I was an English major in college, but some things were still confusing. So when I was in middle school, actually in 8th grade, your grade, in 8th grade English, my teacher, Mr. Thornton, we read a play called The Tempest by Shakespeare, and some of that language is really difficult. So if you look on the board with me, I have a PowerPoint up here, and it's got a passage from Shakespeare, because some of the hardest pieces that I did were from Shakespeare word-wise, and then also medieval literature in college. So I am going to go ahead. This is a picture of the play, actually, when he took us to the Alabama Shakespeare Theater, and you can see it up here. It's a really fancy building he took us to watch the plays. So you're going to listen as I read and watch how I sound out a word. Even if I know what it is, I'm still going to try to sound it out just to make sure. Weak masters, though ye be, I have bedimmed the noontide sun, call forth the mutinous winds, and twixt the green sea and the azure vault, set roaring war to the dread rattling thunder. Have I given fire and rifted Jove's stout oak with his own bolt, the strong-based promontory? Have I made shake, and by the spurs plucked up the pine and cedar graves at my command? So this is a story from Shakespeare. It's all about magic, and they're like on this island. It's actually pretty cool. So this word is talking about mountains. This word is talking about the blue-green type sea. And then mutinous is like a pirate almost, someone who's like on a mutiny trying to go against or rebel, because it's saying that the winds were like rebellious. So you just saw what I did. What do you think I did that might could help you? What kind of strategy did I just use?
Yep.
Okay, and why is that important?
So you don't get confused and say the wrong word.
Yeah, so you don't get confused and say the wrong word, because you can see this text is a lot harder. I know you all read a Shakespearean text in Miss Thomas's class, right? And it has some harder words, just like this text that I had to read in 8th grade was harder, The Tempest. And then, like I said, in medieval literature that I took in college, that's literally like a different language. So you want to make sure when you're trying to sound out words, even if some of them seem easy now, that you're trying to practice so that when it is a difficult word, that you can make sure you read all the way through it, so that it helps you when you're trying to comprehend for questions later. Okay, so now you are about to get to practice. So you notice that I took particular care to sound out those 3 words that were hard for me, right? So I'm not rushing. So again, how can you apply this when you read in a moment?
Sound out the words.
Yeah, so make sure you sound through each letter, each sound of the word, even if you're not sure, that you always have to try each letter and each sound. Okay, so now if you go under that paper where you were just coloring to sound out your words, you are actually going to read a text about temperature and humidity. So remember, you are doing what?
Reading the sound out words. I think.
Yeah, making sure you sound out all the words and read through them completely. All right, go ahead.
When you go outside, the air temperature is often the first weather condition that you notice. In the summer, if the sun has been out, the air usually feels warm. On hot days, the air temperature can be about 90 degrees. If there are clouds, the sun says
The air.
the air often feels cooler because the clouds have blocked some of the heat from the sun's rays. The air is cooler at very high altitudes because the air is less dense and the warm ground is too far away to affect air temperature. Also, there are fewer molecules to absorb the sun's energy. Humidity is moisture in the air in the form of a gas called water vapor. This water vapor comes from oceans, lakes, rainfall, and other sources which water evaporates into the air. Sometimes the air has more water vapor than at other times. The amount of water vapor that the air can hold depends largely on the air temperature. The warmer the air temperature, the more water vapor it can hold. Meteorologists refer to relative
Sound it out.
re-
La.
relative
Yes.
humidity when reporting how much water vapor is in the air. Relative humidity is a ratio
Go back.
ratio
She.
that compares the amount of water vapor in the air to the largest amount of moisture that air can hold at the temperature. A 65% relative humidity means the air is holding 65% of the water vapor and can hold at that temperature. Once the air has reached 100% relative humidity, it can't hold any more water vapor. When this happens, water vapor condenses or changes from a gas to a liquid. The temperature at which water vapor condenses is called a dew point. Water droplets form a plant
Keep going.
when the night air cools and reaches its dew point.
Great. So what strategy did you just use? And it actually came in handy a couple times, right? What words did you struggle with at first?
Relatives?
Yeah, relative. And was there another one that you struggled with?
No.
It was ratio. So you had to sound out a couple words. So you did a good job though, and you made sure you went back and read through all the way through to sound out everything completely. So that is a strategy you need to use all the time, just to make sure you build this habit, okay? So even when you have harder text, and you are going to have harder text as you're getting ready for high school and college. So now we're going to jump into a vocabulary word to prepare you for the reading further that we're going to do next week, continuing to look at humidity and temperature. So go ahead and open your journal, the yellow journal, interactive one we started last week. And I have 3 images on the board. So I want you in your interactive journal to describe everything about what these 3 images make you think of or feel. So one of them obviously is a little GIF. One of them, I'm not going to describe it because I want you to describe it. You can just number. This one will be 1. Two and 3. And just any words that you think of when you see those pictures. I'm trying to make it smaller so you can see everything. It's a little hard. Okay, can you see the top? It was cutting off part of it. All right, so put a few words down for number 1. At least like 3 or 4 words for each. And it can be words that it makes you think of or something that can make you feel. Okay, and do you have 2 and 3 done as well? Mm-hmm. Great. All right, so now we are going to come back to this in just a moment. So first, we're going to jump into some vocabulary work with a video. So this particular video has LeBron James talking about the topic that we've been working on. And while we watch the video, you are going to take notes of words or concepts that you might not be familiar with in your interactive journal. So yep, you can draw a line, and you're going to have at least 6 to 8 things that you learned or were not familiar with while watching this video that you weren't familiar with prior to watching the video.
Why is this? Excellent question.
We'll go back. All right.
Summers in Miami can be hot. I'm told the humidity makes it feel hot. Why is this? Excellent question, Ron. Let's first think about what people are talking about when they even say humidity. And there's a couple of ways to define it. Typically when you hear the weatherman or an everyday talk, people say, hey, it's really humid out there, or it's really hot humidity. They're talking about the relative. They're talking about the relative humidity. It's usually indicated by a percentage. Now let's just think about what the different percentages of relative humidity mean. So right over here we have 0%. Like this. So here we have 0% relative humidity. And over at the extreme other end we have 100% relative humidity. At any given point, the air is someplace between 0% humidity and 100% relative humidity. At 0% relative humidity, it's essentially saying that there is no water vapor in the air, or a non-measurable amount of water vapor in the air. And so if we go to this molecular view of what might look like a water cells, natural skin molecules, and simplified ions, as brown circles. And this right over here, these are actual water molecules. These are water molecules. And maybe it's a drop of sweat or a little water that got dropped on our skin. And it's in its liquid state. And in the liquid state, you have these hydrogen bonds between the molecules that aren't super strong. So it allows these molecules to slide past each other. And that's why it does. And we've already talked about why sweat makes you feel a little more. Whenever we talk about the temperature of something, we're actually talking about the average kinetic energy or the average motional energy of the molecules that make up that thing. But it's the average. On an individual molecular basis, they could have very different kinetic energies. This molecule right here might be going really fast in that direction. This molecule might be going slower in that direction. This molecule might be going super fast in that direction. This molecule going in this direction. When we talk about the temperature of this water, we're talking about the average kinetic energy. some of this molecule might be rotating really fast that way. This one might be rotating that way. This one might be vibrating with the same kind of energy. And so sweating, what it does for us is, if let's say my skin molecules, they have some temperature associated with it. So these are all vibrating and bumping into each other to a certain degree. And then they will vibrate and add kinetic energy. They'll bump into these water molecules. These water molecules will bump into each other. And what happens with the water molecules is the ones that have a really high kinetic energy have a higher chance of escaping the bonds from the other water molecules. So for example, maybe this one has a really high kinetic energy in the exact right direction. And so it's going to go really fast in that direction. And it has enough kinetic energy to essentially escape this attraction of the other water molecules. And so it enters a gaseous state. It essentially becomes water vapor. It just gets mixed with the rest of the air. And so when you have 0% humidity, you have no water vapor up here. It's very easy for something to do this. It's very easy for it to escape. Maybe this one. Maybe this one too is about to escape in that direction. And as we already talked about, when you have your things with the highest kinetic energy leaving a system, then your average temperature for the system is going to go down. You're losing the things that are, as you would say, are the hottest, that have the highest kinetic energy. So at this state right over here, evaporation is very easy. Easy evaporation. We can even say easy evaporative cooling. So at 0% humidity, you can sweat very efficiently. It really cools you down. Evaporation. Easy evaporation at 0%. But as you have more and more water vapor here, we go up this humidity scale. So let's say we start getting a little bit more water vapor in the air. So that's some water vapor in the air. As you have more and more water vapor in the air, you still have molecules that can leave, but now you have some probability that some molecules in the air might actually condense and become part of the water again. So you still might have some net evaporation, but it's not going to be as much. You could have some water vapor that gets captured by these water molecules, and so the rate of evaporation is going to slow down. All the way that you get to 100% relative humidity. At 100% relative humidity, it depends, the actual amount of water vapor depends on the temperature and on the pressures. But at 100% relative humidity, you have so much water vapor. That it is possible still. It is still possible that some of your liquid water might have enough kinetic energy to escape, but you're just as likely to have water vapor condense. You have so much in the atmosphere that for as much as this is evaporating, you have other water vapor that is condensing. You have water vapor that starts to be...
All right. We're going to go ahead and close the video. So why don't you go ahead and share some of the facts that you got from the video about humidity, about temperature.
I said water molecules start bumping into each other.
Okay.
The skin molecules start vibrating.
Cool. Okay, what else?
I said some of the vibration, which might be captured by like the water vapor.
Okay, and what else? Do one more.
It's always like high humidity in Miami.
Yeah, where he's from. Cool. So now we're going to keep going. So that picture that we looked at earlier, the pictures on the PowerPoint, what are some of the things that the first image made you think of?
I said the first one makes me feel happy and sad because it's raining.
Happy and sad because of what?
Because it's raining.
Because it's raining. Yeah. So what happens when it's raining based on what we've been talking about?
Based on what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
With raining, it helps like plants grow.
It does help plants grow, but what did it say about Miami and LeBron James was talking about in that video and we read about?
It doesn't really do. It evaporates like in the air.
It does evaporate in the air. Look at that cup. You know how like when you have a coffee cup or a cup with ice in it that's melting, it'll have that stuff on the outside of it, either when it's hot or cold. That's evaporation and condensation. And then it's also outside, you can see the glass is like wet and they're able to draw on it. And then the steam from the hot coffee's on it. So that's all part of humidity, right? And the temperature changing. What about the picture on the bottom left of the lady? What does that make you think of?
I just said the second picture is showing like different types of textures in the weather.
Different types of temperature and weather. And what is she?
A weather lady.
A weather lady, yeah. And earlier we had a word on the words that you were sounding out. Do you know what their scientific word for her career is?
No.
A meteorologist. Okay, it's someone who studies weather. Okay, and what about the little last gift picture of the duck?
I said the third picture.
It's what?
The third picture showed me how ducks can be in the rain. And
Yeah.
enjoy it like me.
Okay, yeah. So sometimes even when it's humid outside, it doesn't have to be miserable, right? It can mess up your hair. I know it does mine, but it doesn't have to be a bad day. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to teach you a mnemonic for the word humidity. Have you ever heard the word mnemonic before?
No.
No. So a mnemonic is like a clue or something that you can use to remember a definition or an idea. To me, I see another word inside of this word humidity. Can you see another word inside the word humidity?
Humid.
Okay, humid. What's an even shorter word?
It.
It is in it, but what about at the beginning? Hum. Yeah, so I saw hum, and when I think about that, I think of different sounds that sound like humming. So I also thought of the word hummingbird. So hummingbirds actually make like a specific sound with their wing. So we're gonna watch a very short video. You can hear the humming.
Acting like you're making up excuses.
Well, of course not the ad.
Package. Trapped. Do things different.
All right, listen for the wing sounds. You hear it? Did you hear it? It was like that buzzing, humming sound. Okay, now we're gonna listen for another humming or buzzing sound. Let's see. Okay, the next one reminds me also of humidity for a different reason. Peaceful. It's like the humming, the rain droplets you can hear. All right, so I was thinking of specifically when I hear the hummingbird's wings and that hum part at the beginning of humidity, it makes me think, because humidity is the concentration of water vapor present in the air, and water vapor is the gaseous state, right, when the water is turning into like gas and it's going up, making that kind of smoke like it was coming off that coffee cup and making the particles on the glasses. So generally it's not visible to the eye, but it's present when there's dew or fog on the ground usually, and it's a different temperature, usually early in the day or late in the afternoon. So I usually also see hummingbirds at my feeder in my backyard when the dew or humidity would be on the grass and it would be high, the gas changing from the weather outside. So that's also when it's more humid. So I think of the hummingbirds that are out when it's humid, and then I also think of their little humming wings making that noise. And then also when it rains, you can hear that humming noise sometimes, so then I think it's also usually pretty hot. It makes me have jacked up hair when it's hot outside and humid. I know mine gets like afro style. Okay, so now I want you to think of two sentences. I'm going to give you two examples. So for these two sentences, I want you to think of one example and one non-example. So I'm going to give you a non-example first. So an example of it not being the meaning of humidity is the humidity was very strong on the regular day with no sun and no rain, right? It's just a regular day, so there wouldn't be humidity, right? So then my example is the humidity was so strong at the beach. In fact, I knew not to straighten my hair because the heat, salt water, and misty morning air walking by the water would make it poof out. So I want you to write two sentences using the word humidity. One will be a non-example and one will be an example. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 minutes for this. And then we're going to share out the last minute. You can try to trick me, see which one, if I can guess which one's the example, which one's a non-example. All right. So go ahead and share what you. Well, I want to try to guess. Go ahead and share 2 sentences, and I'm going to try to guess which one you are saying is the example of humidity and which one is the non-example. Go ahead and share both sentences with me. Don't tell me which one's which.
During the day, I hear a lot.
Loud and proud.
During the day, I hear a lot of humidity and the rain while it's coming at me. The humidity was so hot, even with no rain or night.
Okay. I think that the first one is a non-example. Because I don't think it was really talking about weather. It was like, it's talking about almost like loud noises. And then the second one you said it was nighttime and what?
No rain.
Nighttime with rain.
No
Okay.
rain.
Okay. So was I right or wrong? Wrong? Okay, explain to me why you put your first one as the example.
Because sometimes in the daytime, I be hearing like the rain sounding like hummingbirds, and I be thinking it's hummingbirds outside.
Okay. I think I might have confused you a little bit then about the definition of humidity. Because humidity is more like the feeling it is outside, and it can happen in the day or nighttime,